And tonight we are joined by the boss.
I don't know where I got
the legal boss.
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
Yeah. Mrs. Kalana Prince Wilson, honors LLB. I can't remember the next one.
Call it out,
LOND.
One of the things we want to do is all your titles and accolades that you work hard for, we must call it out and say it.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So tonight, viewers, we will be discussing with Mrs. Prince Wilson a very underwhelming topic in our community, the topic of estate planning and the importance of it.
Yes.
All right? So without further ado, she's a former successite.
Well, I know going to chuck in,
right?
I know going to chuck in that.
I was waiting for
All
it.
it is
So this whole panel here
yeah.
is proud past students.
Proud.
Success
of
Laventille.
Success Laventille
Composite.
For us, it will always be composite.
It will always be.
Yeah.
You know, we
Never
must say too that
Never
you know, we
secondary.
just lost one of our former teachers.
Yes.
Indeed.
Mr. Williams,
Mr.
you
Williams,
know,
Mr. David
thanks
Williams.
for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, taught each one of us here.
Yeah.
Indeed, he did.
Yeah, you
In
know,
fact, I
so
wasn't even supposed to be
in the
part
class.
of Mr. Williams' class. But I used to crash it all the time.
Right.
Because just being in that space was something
And
else.
he was
It
real vibes.
really
He was
was.
Real
vibes.
vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we here tonight with your Kalana.
Yes.
It's real nice to, again, this is not the first time that we sit down and we panel is
All success.
all success. And the reason why I will always highlight it, why we will always highlight it, is something you know because it's something you're working on, and I wanted to touch on that too as
Yeah,
we go through.
not a problem.
These negative stigmas that we just get.
Yeah.
You know, you and success, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I like to mess around with it all the time.
Of course.
I ask people, guess what school I went to now?
Yeah. I hear you. I sure the first is Bishop.
Sometimes.
Yes.
the schools are them that there's accent in.
I don't get Providence.
No.
But I
no
get
Providence.
I get
No
Bishops. I
Well, they
get
don't have accent,
St.
you know,
Francois
so.
Girls. But I don't ever get Success, and I'm always very proud to
Yeah.
say that is my school. That's my
I too,
Alma
alma
mater.
mater. You know, so it's a pleasure to be here with you both. Thank you so much for the
So
invitation.
now we're glad to have you. Now you tell us about you, all your accolades, and let we get into what we come in here because this is important.
Well, my name is Kalana Prince Wilson. I'm an attorney at law. I am also a certified mediator. And I mean, we could touch on that just briefly,
Right.
but the bulk of my work is in the law and mostly non-contentious matters.
Right.
That just simply means things relating to land and things relating to estates. So a big part of my work is that part of the law. But yes, I do go to court.
Every now and again.
Every now and again, and I do enjoy it when I do go.
Right.
But that's what it is. I'm a proud mommy of one, one daughter who is 10 going on 16.
Shout, 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 shout.
Kanai, if you're looking,
Yes.
good night to you. And my husband also, because I'm married,
Right.
and he is also watching. So good night to you too,
Right.
Fulton. And to everybody who is viewing, I hope that tonight will be enlightening. I'm really
It will,
excited
I'm
about
sure.
this topic in particular.
Yes, because you know, if it's one community, it's a bachanal with land and house and thing is
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
right? Because mommy and whoever didn't sign nothing, they didn't do the necessary and put the will in place because black people is always say, if I make a will, I go dead,
Yeah.
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Been there, heard
we
it.
heard that. We
Yep.
heard that kind of
Been there,
nonsense.
heard it, right? And that's where, even right in Barataria, you will see there are so many lots of land that just there because it's bacchanal
It's
between
tied up
brothers
in-
and
Yeah.
sisters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Mommy didn't say, well, you supposed to see about this and that and that. So, you know, we just wanted to dive into that and talk about it a little bit because I think it's a topic that a lot of people, especially our generation, having to now
Deal with now
Yeah.
because the befores they didn't put it in.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And we're trying to encourage them to do the same.
It's really important, and you all know because we talk
Straight.
about this often. Legacy is important.
Yes.
And we may think of legacy just in name, meaning when I leave, what name
Do I leave?
you know, do I leave behind? What will my daughter inherit when people see her and talk about her mom?
Yeah.
But it's a lot more than
Than
that.
that.
And I
Correct.
think in our community, we have, as you rightly said, a stigma around planning
Yeah.
for when we are not here. But if anything this pandemic taught us
Oh, yes.
is that
We ain't gonna be here all the time.
that's correct. And there's really no age, you know, limit on, or time limit on how long you'll be here.
Right.
So it's not as if we calling debt on anybody.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, debt comes to all
All
of
of
us.
us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but that is the reality.
Correct.
And when we don't, as a community, plan for when we are not here, then as you rightly say, there's a lot of confusion
Correct.
that likely ensues.
Yes.
So where I sit, I see all of it.
Right.
I see all of it. Families, I always say families are always happy and together when everybody is alive.
Yes.
But when the matriarch or the patriarch or anybody dies, then is when a family is really tested. And you
Yes.
see what the worth is, where they put the worth.
Yes.
And to avoid all of that, the process is just so very simple, guys. It's not as overwhelming as the title estate planning sounds.
Seems,
it's
right.
really just sitting with an attorney at law and saying to him, listen, this is what I have, this is what I need to give, and this is how I intend to give it, and this is the person I want to put in charge to deal with it.
Right.
Less than an hour in most cases. If you plan beforehand, you can
Right.
have your affairs sorted out,
Okay.
you know, by making a will.
Right.
And as you rightly say, some of us just want to leave the children to beat up, and I don't get why we think that way. And it's something that we really need to rethink, because you leave things in limbo
Yes.
for quite some time.
Yeah.
If
And
people
sometimes it
don't
never
agree.
settles. Yes.
Exactly. You know?
Because the biggest one saying, well, I don't want to sell. The smallest one in the state saying, well, me ain't coming back there.
Right.
So all they fight up with that.
Right.
Right. But if all they're selling it, make sure I get my fair share.
Right.
And then you have the pulling and the tugging.
Yeah.
You know. But what you could tell us about the importance, and I mean I understand that the estate planning is important. But what's the word I want to say, boy? In terms of the ease, how will that help in the after when the person dies? How in terms of the ease, because you know we always hear about things getting caught up in administration or whatever you call that.
Well, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the, as I raise that word.
Right.
Because a lot of the times, what happens is, in my experience, people say go to the bank after their loved one passes, and the banks tell them, you know, you need to get letters of administration. And then, of course, they pick up the phone to call the attorney, and they think it's an actual letter. But it really isn't. It's a court application in that instance, right? And that is the application as required when you don't have a will. And that's the one that sometimes gets stuck, because there isn't agreement among people who are equally entitled to apply as to who will apply.
Okay.
Because the thinking is, if this person applies, then I ain't go get nothing.
Right.
And if there is some kind of bad blood or animosity between parties, then you find that it gets stuck in that space even before it progresses to the court. So it's always advisable to do a will. Now you ask about the ease. It is easy in terms of getting the application together. Once that person produces the will, an attorney could start the process.
Okay.
The eases, here are the eases. The ease is and the eases. But the ease is knowing what this person has.
Right.
Because it's in the will.
Right.
So you don't have to now go digging and looking through
every bank and
trying to find out where these assets are, because they are listed. So that's one advantage.
All right.
Because not all the time you know, well, mommy have something in Scotia or daddy have something in wherever, because it is listed. And if the attorney did a good job at the preparation, then everything is going to be there.
Right.
That's one.
Okay.
Two, you know who is dealing with it, because in the will it specifies
Right.
the person who has this authority to apply. So that takes out the whole agreement between parties who is making this application. And then the third thing is, you know exactly who is getting what. You know, even in a case where there isn't a will, let's say parties agree, the law says how you're supposed to get what. So in a sense, you take away your control. So whereas your eyes closed and you still controlling the process because your will is speaking for you.
For you, right?
In this case, your eyes closed.
The law then takes control.
And the law says this person gets to apply and this is what these persons are getting. Do you understand? So it limits what you may have wanted to do
Right.
with what you leave behind.
Okay.
Yeah?
So, in terms of the will, I mean, I could write a will. I need. Do I need a lawyer? I ask
You're
him.
sure you want to do it?
I ask him. I don't mind. Me afraid that.
I know you.
But that I was
I
actually
afraid that.
wondering too now. Like,
Yeah.
So I sit down and I watch my assets, and I write out something and I bring it to you. Is it as simple as that?
No, it is not as simple
Right.
as that, because the law has very specific formalities
Right.
Right.
as to what constitutes a valid will.
Really?
Yes. So there could be little errors that you make just because you're not
Familiar.
conversant with the law,
Right.
and that invalidates your will entirely.
Right.
For example, the will requires 2 witnesses.
Right.
You may have left in that will a gift to the witness. So that makes the witness a beneficiary.
So they'll
What
tell
is
their
that?
witness.
And the witness who is the beneficiary signs as witness. And that cancels that
Yeah.
person's
Yeah, that makes sense.
gift. So it's just one example of some of the
Right.
things that could go wrong because you're not familiar with what is required.
Quiet. Okay.
You know?
You
So
see,
it's
see how
always
easy?
advisable to get a lawyer who knows what they're doing
Yes.
to prepare the will for you. Yeah?
Because I had I remember that witness thing. I was only about 19 years old, and I was asked to be a witness signing for a very close family member will. And something about it didn't feel right.
Feel
boy.
right, yeah.
And at 19 years old, never had none of them kind of
guidance,
interaction
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Something when I leave and I go. And if I tell all you today, that was one of the best decisions ever made in my life. You know, I see it firsthand, family, you know. I saw it firsthand.
Because sometimes in a situation like that, which I suspect might be the case, some people feel that they should influence what is happening
Yeah,
as per the gifts in the will.
yeah.
And that person who's trying to influence it is not the person making the will. And your will is supposed to be made free of pressure from
Anybody.
anybody. It must be made of your own volition. You must have the right frame of mind. It must be sound in your mind
Right.
in order addressing your mind to everything. What do I have? Who should benefit? How I want this to be held. In cases where you want property, for example, to be jointly owned, you have to understand how that joint ownership works, because there are 2 types of joint ownership: tenancy in common, joint tenancy, and you must understand the implications of that. So it is more work for the lawyer to think through
Than
and
you.
ask the right questions
Yes.
than
Right.
you, but you really ought not to put yourself in a space where you're trying to do this on your own, because it really would be sad that
If
you
anything
think you've left everything in order, and then you die, and the people who you leave behind discover this isn't worth
Well, let me tell
anything.
you, I say down here listening to you, right? And I thinking to myself, but I could write a will and you know mash up that is.
But she messed me up too
Sorry
because
about that.
No.
I thought
That is
I
a very, very good example as
Yeah.
to why we need
The advice.
the advice.
not just but a professional, somebody who know what they're doing.
Yes.
Why I always tell you,
Yeah.
breads, I is not barber, you know. So me trying to trim myself, you know.
Right.
You understand? You know,
That's why he sees me.
right. and I said, because I say no here, and when you ask if you could write it up now,
Yeah.
I thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I just the other day I saw one and I was trying so hard to say yes, that this is valid, but it really could not work because
Really?
it did not meet the requirements. There are specific requirements in law for will to be valid in terms of the formalities, and yes,
So
you have to meet them all.
this is the opportunity, right? Let me ask you a question from that perspective now. Because of course, as a attorney at law, you're not restricted to only seeing African people.
Of course not.
As a barber, you're not only restricted to trimming African people, and I will sell this to anybody that want to buy it, right? But, you know, we try to focus on us when it comes to this here. Do you see it getting better with our people seeking legal advice for something like this, or we still stuck in that mindset that if I make a will, I would end?
I think we're still for the most part stuck.
Stuck, yeah.
So when I got this invitation, I asked Karen, only want my introverted self on TV, but honestly,
You seem so though.
no, because I feel passionate
Right.
about this, you know.
Right.
And so I didn't hesitate to say yes because it's something, you know how I feel about my community.
Yes.
And I know what I see from where I sit.
Sit, yes.
So I
Right.
was very happy to say yes to the invitation because really there isn't a lot of us who do this.
Right.
And we tend to think that you'd look to do it at a particular, I have a will. I have a will. I mean, I'm not calling death on myself.
No, but you're
No,
preparing. You're
preparation,
preparing.
You're on the road every day.
Yes.
COVID is in the atmosphere still. You're flying. You could be in your house and that meets you there. I wanted to know that I have done what I'm supposed to do for my daughter
Yes.
and for all my loved ones. You know, I want that peace of mind. And the good thing about it is a will is ambulatory. In other words, it can change several times
Before you close your
over
eye.
the course of your lifetime.
Right.
So I leave Karen in the will. I get vexed with Karen. Next
him
day,
out.
I pay.
I see that. I actually see that, and I actually had the paperwork over that.
Bust him out,
What
you
name
know.
was replaced with what name?
Yeah. You play the fool out.
Yeah.
You come in.
But on that question, and I'm happy you asked it, notwithstanding you could do your estate planning, there are also things you can do during your lifetime.
Okay.
So there are what you call inter vivos gifts, things you can do during your lifetime to set your affairs in order so that you may not even bother to do a will in the end.
Right.
So for example, you could do joint accounts because joint accounts will not form part of your estate.
Right.
Right? Because once you do it jointly, whoever is the survivor, that's theirs. If you have property, you can gift it by way of deed or memorandum during the course of your lifetime. And even that, I tend to advise my clients a particular way because let's say you're living in the property. You don't want to gift it.
While you're there.
You can do it while you're there, but there's a way to do it to protect your interest
Right.
while you're
So you
still
can't get put
here.
out.
Correct. Correct.
It's sad that
So
that's
there's
human
a lot, and
mentality.
I
eh?
don't see it.
You want to give somebody something at the time of your passing, and you have to still study that. You know,
No,
next
but
thing to
it's-
find out that I hadn't, and that's a real sad part of
Yeah.
human mindset and
But
mentality.
I'm
right?
afraid that those are the things you have to consider.
Yeah.
And you really ought to think about it truly and thoroughly because, I mean, we really have to do better, I think, as a community in terms of planning generally,
Yes.
financially, and for when we are no longer here.
Yeah.
I saw a video today and it was very interesting, an interview between Steve Harvey and Bishop T.D. Jakes. And T.D. Jakes said, it is not what you're left for your children, but what you're left in them. I think it's a combination of the two.
Both, of course.
So you train your children to be able to appreciate things. Not make things a god, of course,
Right.
but appreciate things, appreciate hard work, appreciate what is required to get. But at the same time, I think we ought to still leave them with enough to get them
I agree with
a
that totally.
start,
Correct.
Totally.
you know?
All right. So,
So, we will take a break.
oh gosh, boy.
Yeah,
I really wish we
because
didn't have to, but we have to.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll take a break
Take a
and
break, I'll be back.
we'll be back shortly.
Oh, this clothing line is all about hope in the black man's mind. All about reminding us as how beautiful we are for the near or far, yeah. Oh, the clothing line features t-shirts, checks, polos and shirts. Oh, dashiki, lady v-neck, lady tank top and baby tees, yeah. Dresses and cotton bags and hats and many more. Oh, and the Nubian experience.
So we back all You know, it has so much of ways we could dive into this here, right? Because, I mean, I have a good friend who went through this where it wasn't planned where the estate of our grandparent was going. And the grandparent left thinking, you know, everything in order and bachanal, like, and we know that this could lead to, unfortunately, at times death. You know, so this is important. And I mean, we get younger, some of us are achieving more than our parents would have achieved. So we actually have things to leave,
pass, yeah.
to pass on. You know, we don't want to do the same thing. Plus, I want people listening, inclusive of myself and Karen, to be able now to go and advise with parents, with grandparents, with aunts, with uncles, with friends.
To put things
You
in
know,
place.
send them by Kalana. Yeah. At the end of the day, that is part of it too. No?
Yeah.
And the next thing, no, we don't like to talk about making money at all. Why?
For people to envy you.
We do
You know, that's how the thing that's going with me. As you start to look a particular way, like you start to, I'm saying, why?
Yeah.
Is that? No, be proud, be proud.
Yeah.
Be proud.
You know, so, in as you say, you just see it all from where you sit.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? How do you advise? How do you mentor, talk to, you know, young black people into the importance of that and not just talking about it, or they do something about it?
Yeah.
Because we also find one. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if we talk to the younger people and them, the 20-year-olds and
Yeah.
the 30-year-olds and them,
Yeah.
they able to pass that on to the parents now, the elders, and like, yo, yeah, they see about this, you know.
Yeah.
Because some of
Yep.
our parents and grandparents do good, you know.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
I
that's
think the
true.
problem is with us in particular is that most African people, when they hear these two terms, three, doctor, lawyer, and psychologist,
Yeah.
Oh, therapist.
they
but
just feel
slash therapist.
slash therapist is big money.
Yeah.
You know, and it could be intimidating.
Yeah.
It could be intimidating. I'm not
That's
even
true.
fronting about that.
That's true.
You know, because I would have had to go through a process with my property where I am now. Same situation, right? But my parents still alive. You know, and it was intimidating, you know, when they had to go and sit down and talk to the lawyer and you say, oh God, why? Much this thing going on cause, why? Like, ugh. But the reality is it is a serious thing, and they need to, I don't care what it costs at this point. We cannot continue to tiptoe around these things.
Yeah.
I know it has some people that's really try to dig out your eye, but then it have those who are fair, right? But in the fairness, you have to also remember that, hey, the reason I'm going through this and the cost of this.
That's what I was now about to say.
Correct. The cost of this little thing could cost me.
Or could save me.
Could save me.
Yeah.
Right?
It could save my
and
family.
save my children.
Yeah, yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in
Correct.
lawsuits and whatever,
Correct.
and headache.
Maybe even life.
Correct. Correct.
And maybe even their life. Well, fortunately, I don't think we just suffer with that. But, yeah.
I almost want to read your mind. But I'm almost sure.
Yeah, we don't suffer with that. We don't suffer with that. But yes. So, yeah, you know, I mean, it's a big thing. This is a very, very big topic.
Yeah. Well, based on what you asked about whether I talk to people about it, constantly. Constantly. In fact, I did a series of tips on it not too long ago, specifically on this topic, because I really do think that we have a lack in our community with this, where this is concerned.
Yeah.
You know, and we just leave it up to whoever. Let them. The words I hear often is let them fight up with that.
Yes.
And I really do.
It's okay.
Problem with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Something like Karen.
It's okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's here we laugh, but it's serious. Like why would like knowing why I go through.
Yeah.
And I can only talk for me. And Lyman wrong Karen. Knowing what I go through, you went with we went up the hill Sunday.
Yes, we did.
You see that hill that I had to tote water up. And my son, mommy, I love you. She used to say you can't tote one bucket of water because you're off balance.
I like how you.
You had to tote two, right?
Right.
I like how you. I soften it.
Of course. I wouldn't want to do something to make sure. And my daughter never had to tote water. She'll know the value of water, you know. Don't leave the pipe on, don't waste it. We need
That's
water.
correct.
Water is life. Right. But I can
would
see
want
myself with
better.
that mindset.
Let she fight
Boy,
up.
that's craziness to me,
No,
boy.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
That's absolute craziness to me.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think some of us, well, at least around our age, might be so caught up in the quote-unquote hustle that we're just thinking about acquiring, but we're not planning
Yes,
for
the pass
after
on.
the acquisition.
I might be guilty.
You know,
of
so
that.
we acquiring wealth and we're not realizing, well, we actually acquiring wealth. But what happens?
Yeah. To that wealth.
What happens?
Yeah.
You know, so we really do need to address our mindset and on the topic of cost, what it will cost. Not everything ought to be measured in strict dollars and cents.
Yeah.
That being said, the cost of doing a will and planning your entire estate is minuscule compared to what might be happening later on.
Later down the road. Yeah, I agree that
You
totally.
know? So it really doesn't equate. And there are some things too that just putting that in place will carry on something else you may have started. So for example, another thing that I have a problem in my community with, you're on a parcel of land. You've been there
Right.
for double-digit years
Right.
and years.
Right.
You don't have
The deed.
a title deed for it.
That's insane.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Organize yourself.
Yeah.
There is something you can do to sort that out, right? And although it's not the subject of this discussion, certainly it is something that we can talk about.
Right. Right.
But you start that process, God forbid something happens to you, who you name in the will picks up that process almost seamlessly.
Yes.
Because now
Wow.
that person stands as your legal personal
tied in.
representative to
Right.
deal with everything
Right.
concerning you.
Right.
So it really isn't just limited to planning in the strict sense of estate planning,
Right.
but it also treats with other things. So you may have a property that you're renting, and God forbid you pass on. Whoever you're left in charge,
continue everything.
They are legally required to collect rents and deal with your tenants even before
Nothing
they
break
approach
off.
the court.
My
Nothing
goodness.
stops.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pleased to see that the callers are excited.
Oh, that's what's happening.
Yes, but callers, please hold on. Our final segment is where we will take the calls.
I was wondering what was up there.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, because
It's
I
good to
mean
see
this
people are
is
interested.
very, very serious because the people that are listening in Trinidad and Tobago, this is a small place. Each of us either know somebody personally that deal with a parent or grandparent leaving and no will in place and it cause bachanal, or if we don't know of it personally, we know of somebody very close
Who
to
is
us
dealing with it.
who
Who's
deal
dealing
with
with
it.
that, yeah.
You know, and I don't know probably how I know I was in this situation. I don't know like land and the idea of owning something after somebody passed.
Yeah.
Like it has changed people's attitude and
Oh,
mindset,
yes.
boy.
It does.
You
It
know?
does. I've seen happy families torn asunder
Yeah, that
when those things come into play after a death.
Yeah.
You know, and I've developed a little trick over the years because, I mean, as I said, there are specific things and ways in which a will ought to be crafted, right? But there are some other things that I do just to ensure that if somebody decides they want to challenge the will,
Can't do it. Love it. Call Shirley.
they'll have a hard time.
Call she. I tell her, that's at the beginning of the show, you know. She's the boss. She's the
They'll have a
boss.
hard time. I've seen it work because it's like, how mommy can't leave, especially if whoever it is leave out someone.
Yeah.
I ask them specifically, why are you leaving out this person? So that it will be shown that this person addressed their mind, that this person should have been entitled to something, but here are my reasons. So, yeah.
I like it. I like it, Ole. I like it.
and I mean it's 2022, and to hear somebody say them two statements, let them
them
fend
fight
for
up.
themselves, let them fight up, and as you make our will, it is dead. I mean in 2022, we have a computer in our pocket.
Yeah.
We're still hearing
That kind of
them kind of
dotishness.
nonsense,
Yeah.
man. Right?
And then we quick to ball. The Indian getting through. The Syrian getting through. But
We
put
watching
all the
every-
order, put all the thing
And
in
there's
order.
something that's always asked earlier. While we watch other ethnicities get through, and we see other ethnicities get through, is it that we just going to sit down here and let them get through, or we going to start to now look at what they're doing to get through? No, I not about emulation for everything,
No.
because there are certain things other
Not to be
ethnicities would do
emulated.
that I wouldn't do at all, that I wouldn't recommend to our people, and most of the times it's not in our natural nature as our people to do some of them things.
That's true.
But I'm saying it are certain things systematic.
Yeah.
We could do.
Correct.
We could watch them. It can't just be we saying down and balling. Look at it, and them getting through there. So you don't become I remember hearing some old African people talk that talk, and up to this day one of them still don't talk to me because I put them in a place. When you go in the hospital, there's only Indian doctors. I was like, all right, but you don't become a doctor just so. No, a doctor is not a job where you could use nepotism to get, you know.
Okay. You might get up the ladder.
Yeah.
Via
Yeah,
NEPs.
but the qualifications
But
to
the
be a doctor
qualifications, yeah.
is a lot of investment in you that would come from 99% of the time your own family, your mother, your father, your grandmother, uncle, aunt,
That's
whatever.
correct.
Everybody pitching in and helping because Karen wanted to be a doctor and he start off school and looking like, oh, look at these
He
grades and
doing
everybody.
well, yeah.
And the work towards that, we doing that.
Yeah.
And
You
they
know, we-
understand the importance
We
of
still
it.
talking about, and this going on, I went Success 9, me and you went 91 to 96.
That's correct. Now you're selling out my age on national TV, but it's all right.
And
I forgive.
we hear since that time people saying you're buying them time was $500 shoes for children to go to school. Now it reached to $1,500 shoes and $2,000 shoes. But it's only us.
Yeah. Doing that.
It's only us doing that.
Yeah.
So we poor.
Yeah.
We ain't have no financial planning and them kind of thing.
Right.
But for the life of me, I don't understand that. How you finding money to buy? And now it's not just the shoes alone, eh? Now it's our phone.
iPhone.
You understand? But ask your child what they want to be.
Yeah.
They can't tell you. But you could sit down now with other people your age. The ball is only Indians in the hospital. You know, you have to work real hard to be a doctor. You have to study long to be a doctor.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I tell people, I am a proud African. I am pro-African. I am pro-black. But I can't support that kind of nonsense.
No.
I can't support that kind of mentality.
No.
I am proud to say that I have 5 African doctors as clients. 5. All your envy.
I know quite a number of them as well.
Yes. And it's changing. It's changing.
Young black women.
Women especially. Doctors, yeah?
Yes.
And that what we have to do, and that what we have to highlight.
Correct.
Because it's not that it doesn't happen in our communities.
Yeah.
It's not highlighted, and we from communities
But
where we know.
have to change that.
Yeah. So remember the tagline is finding our what?
Facing our
Issues,
problems.
formulating our solutions.
Yeah.
And the show is about the empowerment and the enrichment
Of
and
African
the
people.
enlightenment
I like that.
of African people.
Make me sit up with that one.
Yeah.
Now, the beautiful thing about that is I always tell people, any other person from any other ethnic group could sit down and watch this show and take something from it.
Indeed.
Correct.
Agreed.
Yes, and
Correct.
I'm not trying to leave out nobody, you know.
No.
But I just know that our people need it the most right now. Everybody else have people doing for them.
Yes.
That this association, that association, this,
Agreed.
and they're working for them.
Yes.
I have no problem with that. But you know me, I don't tolerate when they come to tell me why you only focusing on African people. I don't accept that question at all. Right? I tell them if you want to ask, before you ask me that, go down in St. Anne's by the association that had down there. Go and ask them. When they answer you and you satisfied with the answer, then come back and ask me. Right? So this is where we have professionals like yourself.
Yes.
You know, a real proud body was Safia. You know, then we have like, cause again, I have to stress it again. You imagine that, boy. You imagine one of your clients come to you and you hear in the sun corridor and say, "Mommy, I said, what will you do?"
It's Bella's one time.
That's crazy.
It's Bella's one time. That level of ignorance just needs to dead.
Yeah.
It just needs to die.
You just need to kill it.
Yeah.
And but how do we combat it though? Like you seeing this, you're seeing people, you're hearing the ignorance, but you're also seeing the other good side of it. You're actually seeing the people coming to you.
to do it.
Right? How do you, I mean, I don't want to sell out none of your trade secrets, but how do you influence them to influence others? Meaning, you know, yes, you reach, but you know, sometimes we might do something, but we only do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
How do you influence people to
It's just
influence others?
using the space that I'm in as far as possible to educate people.
Right.
Let them know what their options are.
Right.
So they may come for one thing, but I introduce them to other things that they may consider.
Right.
So I had, well, the unfortunate but fortunate experience because, of course, the client's mom passed, which is why she came back to me. The client was originally her mom.
Right.
And she said, frankly to me, Mrs. Wilson, I am so grateful you advised my mother to do this. Because the mother's mindset was essentially, it's just 2 children I have, let them figure it out. And it proved that would have been a dangerous course, let's put it that way. Because one party was already acting a particular way.
Right.
And so she said to me, I'm so glad you advised my mother to do this, and she took the advice. Now, when you impact someone like that and they actually see in life how it played out, then my hope is that having had that experience, that she too will plan and she will share.
Right.
You know, because we are, in a sense, because of the profession and the rules that govern it, we are limited
You can't
in
advertise.
what, right. So we can't go talking about, you know, these are the services you have available and come to me in that way. But with every interaction, I
Right.
try, especially, you know, persons belonging to our community, to say, here's what, these are the options you have, this is what we can do.
Right.
And hopefully they take the advice. At the end of the day, it's ultimately up to that person to follow the advice or not.
Right.
But I try my best to talk about these things as often as I can in the spaces that I can speak on them. Yeah.
All right. So, break time. Now, folks, when we come back, this is not an advisory session. We are not paying for that. So please keep the questions, simple. Right? But we'll be back.
We'll be back on it.
Oh, this clothing line is all about opening the black man's mind. All about reminding us as how beautiful we are for the near or far, yeah. Oh, the clothing line features t-shirts, checks, polos and shirts. Oh, dashiki, lady v-neck, lady tank top and baby tees, yeah. Dresses and cotton bags and hats and many more. Oh, and the new beyond experience.
The new normal is making new normal. It is time for a new you. Time to equip yourself for an ever-evolving world. Look ahead. Advance your strategy at Advanced Solutions Technical Institute. Thousands have successfully reinvented themselves at Advanced Solutions Technical Institute. What are you waiting for? Learning leads to earning. Re-engineer, reinvent, redesign yourself. Welcome to the new you. Sign up today. Call 868-610-7500 or 485-1835 now.
So we're back with all you. We're going to take some phone calls.
Yeah.
As I say, it's not an advisory session, but you can call in, leave the comments, ask some questions, make suggestions, because we're open to all of that as well now.
And big up to the Nubian experience.
Yeah, boy, the whole
Everybody
panel.
get out.
Everybody today.
Get out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And that wasn't planned.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
But you know what they say about great minds?
Ah, boy.
Think alike.
Ah, boy.
Think alike.
So, but I wanted to jump into this too. So we are all products of Success Laventille Composite
Indeed.
School.
Proud.
You are in the process. Yes, I also make sure my business to say it like that. I'm proud as people are Success
Yes.
Laventille. So you're doing the documentary series I Am Success.
Yes. So the cat is now officially out of the bag.
Yeah. I could not mention it, boy, because I feel real honored to be a part of it.
Yes.
And
So happy you said yes.
yeah. I also, you kind of down memory lane because we went up the road where I used to live for most of, actually all my success life. Up the hill in Sawa, and came back some
I saw it in your
memories,
eyes,
boy.
and it was really a brilliant idea by the team to put you back in that
the
specific
environment.
space. Yeah.
King.
Yeah.
Ah, boy, but I personally, my hope is that this continue.
Yeah.
Two things I hope out of it. I hope it continue because we have a lot of success stories to share,
Yeah, we do.
and I also hope it inspire other
young
schools.
Because that latter part is what was really the impetus for me. I mean, that and a couple other things. I know that as a community, especially our young black men, we fall into some wicked stereotypes. And I think as much as the idea had come to me several years before the event of my cousin being kidnapped and never found, or just not kidnapped really, but gone missing. and never found. And even how I think it was approached, I don't think that the energy that was put behind it was the same as if
somewhere else in some other community.
yeah, because he was a young black man. And then to get a call from somebody saying, you know, he really wasn't involved in anything. And I'm like, but we said so.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, really, this is still happening, and it's still happening in this century.
Yeah,
correct.
You know what I mean? And I felt then, I made up my mind that we really have to change the narrative around who we are as a community, around where we go to school, and whether or not going to a particular school means you're going to turn out a particular way. You know, I was just so over the moon excited when some of the persons' names you shared with me, when I discovered it's businessmen, it's teachers, it's so many of us doing so
much.
very well and giving back to our communities in so many ways. I just felt, the time is now.
One of the things
Get
I
on
must
it,
mention
yeah.
as well too is the quality of work and equipment that involved in the project.
No plastic thing.
Yeah.
Plastic thing.
You know, I really impressed, and I actually really excited to see him.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I am.
I have no doubt about it.
I'm not saying that because I'm,
nah.
spearheading this
To top your horn,
project, but it is
Nah.
going to
Boss
be
up.
awesome. I'm really excited to have people their stories get out there in the way they want to tell it, so freely, so openly. And I mean, having the backgrounds that some of us have and really coming out of it and doing so well, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, and especially for the students who are there now,
Yes.
to give them that motivation that it
So
really
fire.
doesn't matter
Fire
where
the
you
fire.
start.
Let me jump in
Yeah,
here now.
yeah.
How are we getting this to those students?
Why are you
But
worried
you want to
about
bust
that?
the whole mark?
Eh?
Incredible.
All right, okay.
Clearly he's
The girl kind of
excited.
see you on that, but I think it's supposed to be a secret.
Next caller.
All right. Good night, caller.
Blessed night.
Yes,
night.
good night.
Welcome to the Afro Triniview.
All right. Can I get on to the program?
Yes, you're on. You're live.
All right. Good night. Good night. All right. I am happy to see 3 young Africans talking about the life at school. And I only went to school by the Irons.
Yeah, man.
You know where the Irons is?
The Irons, no? Tell me now.
All right. The Irons, you see right where Success Laventille is?
Yeah.
These are some irons packed up there before they build the school. I'm from Pisgalands.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'm from Pisgalands, and I went to school in St. Philip's, EC in Johnstown. You understand?
All right.
And I have my turn out to be one of the top announcers in Trinidad and
Oh,
Tobago.
indeed.
Oh, my God. Philly Trill.
Yes.
Mr. Philly Trill.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, man.
All right.
I love
We
it.
applaud you, man. Thank you very much.
Well, all right. I am happy to see young, talented Nubians getting together
Sure.
to strengthen the image of the school
Yes.
and the race altogether.
Yes, man.
Thank you.
All right,
It's our
okay.
pleasure.
This
Very
call
much.
means a
Thank you
lot.
so
Yeah,
much.
it does.
Incredible. Thank you.
Anyhow, continue on listening, eh?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
have a
much,
good night.
sir.
I have a nephew who went to school in I have a nephew who went to school there too, you know.
Okay.
Success.
Yeah, Success.
All right.
Nice, nice.
All right. Anyway.
All right,
have
brother.
a good evening and continue with your program.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
and same
thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
man.
Wow, that's huge.
A big one.
Yes.
Feel the thrill.
Feel the thrill,
Yeah.
boy. And his son following in the footsteps, eh?
Huh?
Yeah, son following in the footsteps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one kind of...
Yeah, that one.
Because that's our voice
we had to
grew up.
take a moment
Of
there.
course.
Yeah, that's our voice we grew up
That's huge.
hearing when we
That's
didn't
huge.
have so much radio stations. So
Yes.
we had to turn on and...
Of course.
And them time you could not go and change radio.
You mad?
How you touching that?
Right. You know, so yeah, that's our voice.
Yeah, man.
Indeed.
We get some history and we get some, oh
The
gosh.
irons.
The irons.
Yeah, I didn't even know
I never,
that's what happened in that spot before the school went
Me
there.
neither.
That's good.
You know, we had to go and do something and you know.
Now we had to dig.
Greetings. Welcome
night,
to
good
the
night,
Afro
blessed
Trini
night.
View.
Good evening, Afro Trini View. I have a question for the attorney.
All right.
What is a fair price to pay an attorney for preparing my will? Is there a guide I'm listening off here?
All right.
Okay. So I'm not gonna stymie people's
Right.
fees, right?
Right.
And there isn't really a guide for that fee,
Right.
but you really ought not to be paying any huge figure
Okay.
for something that will take just about
hour.
an hour or so, an hour and a half, according to, see if you do the legwork before
Right.
and you give instructions before, then the actual preparation itself shouldn't take long.
Long. Okay.
So there's a range, and I could leave you with that.
Right.
And if the caller would leave their information,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to share it. But I don't want to
Yeah, understood,
So-
understood.
stymie what.
So, but then based on the question, if I decide, like tonight, I say, right, I want to go and start my thing. Advisory-wise, so all I need to do is get a piece of paper, write down all my things, right? So that when we meet with you, you have a list of all the things,
And who you wanted to go to?
bank account information and thing, and
Correct.
who I wanted to go to.
Correct.
And then we take it from there.
And you also have to address your mind to a very important thing.
Right.
Who are you leaving in charge to carry out the wishes in your will? And that is a big decision. You want somebody who you can trust to do it, especially if you have minor children who you're leaving stuff for. You need to be able to trust that person. And the law allows for about up to 4 people to be named, but I don't ever advise people to do 4 because it means these 4 persons come
Have to
and
be
give
together.
instructions, will be together, will go to the bank together, will everything at the same time. So you could look at 2 is what I advise from time to time, but certainly you have to address your mind to who that person or persons.
But what kind of control does that person have in terms of...
Their control is in the will,
Right.
and they ought to stick to that.
Right.
Otherwise, they can be taken to court if they act outside of it.
Okay.
So it stipulates this asset to that person,
Right.
this money to that person. And once they get through, after having applied for the probate of the will, they get the grant. They are now the legal personal representative, and their role is to administer or distribute what's in the estate. That's what it is. But you don't want somebody who will sit on it,
Right.
where the beneficiaries now have to sue them for not dealing with
Acting.
it or citing them for not acting. And so you must address your mind to somebody who you know is going to be prompt, responsible, and do what is necessary to carry out the wishes in your will. Right? So it really isn't an involved process,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. Well, I mean, this is a heavy... This one weighing heavy on my boy.
Have you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking it. I'm
Me
thinking.
and all thinking, because, boy, it has something I could probably get into. We go talk. No, I mean, it's a real life scenario where
Situation, yeah.
grandpa leave, he didn't put that in it on purpose for granny to leave it because she ended up living longer than him. But then she sent it somewhere else and thing up. But it's thing to check out because again,
It is.
my grandfather was all about peace and love. So
Peace and love.
he deal with the things that he know would not no controversy. and he left her in the house, so he didn't put the house in his will. Yeah, that was the married house. He didn't put the house in the will.
That's tricky business.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't specify it in the will, there's supposed to be at the end of the will something called a residuary clause. So that clause takes care of everything else that you did not specifically mention.
Right.
So if he left it out of the will and there was a residuary clause that named somebody else as the residuary beneficiary, that person is entitled to the house.
Right.
So he might be thinking leaving it out of the will means nobody could touch it. But the truth is that residuary beneficiary is in law entitled to it. So just leaving it out is not the solution. You have to expressly deal with it.
Again, so that's why I say, that's why when we talking, we having conversations, we realize how necessary and important these discussions are.
Yeah.
Right? Even in passing, even if it's just sitting down in the barber shop and having it now, because in this hour that we hear, boy,
It's plenty.
I done learn so much already.
Yeah, my mind
I
blown
done,
out 4 times.
one or two little misconceptions that I had.
Yep,
correct.
Yep.
You know?
And there are quite a number of them. So you tell yourself, all right, I and the wife separated, but you're still legally married. God forbid something happens to you before the marriage is dissolved properly. Wifey, entitled to apply and entitled to have. And you may not have intended that, but you didn't put things in place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many scenarios that could pop up.
Yes.
Even after you get married, if you did a will before, once you get married, that will is automatically revoked. So you have to make sure, after you get married, to deal with the will.
Judgment.
To go back.
You
Unless
see?
that will was made in contemplation of the marriage
Yeah.
that happened, then that's it.
You see?
So you may not even realize. And it has happened in real life. It has happened in real life. And to a close family member of mine, it was just so heartbreaking because, you know, that little piece of advice she could have gotten for free.
Yes.
But she really didn't think about it. And
God damn.
she's no longer here. So, you know, it's just really seeking advice.
Yeah.
Getting the advice. You know, we are here, we trained to do these things.
Yes.
Seek the advice. But as I say, we have some trouble with that. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that tonight, you know, we could debunk some of these mindsets that persist in our community. And so that we are motivated to do a little better
Yes.
when it comes to these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think we need to be a little less fearful of
Everything.
everything. You know, I don't know why we so afraid. We just afraid. I mean, you talking here, and on one side I'm like, yeah, boy, I know exactly what I'm going to do, thing. And then on the next side is like, oh, God.
But I am taking the work out of it.
Of it, yes.
You just have to present yourself.
Yes.
You don't even have to come at your paper with your list.
No,
We
but
will
you say
go
something
through it.
important to add to this. You say, when we hear doctor, lawyer, and therapist, psychologist, we just think
Money.
big money.
Yeah.
Right? And all of that ties back
But a
into what we
consultation.
went through as a people, why we
It's
don't
true.
understand money. Right? How we living as a people, why we don't have plenty money.
Yes.
Why certain things
true.
is still
And then
not.
it is how we prioritize what's important.
Yeah.
How we appear sometimes carries more weight
Correct.
than what we ought to be doing, you know, with the money that we spend on appearance. So it's really just figuring out what is important and what you want for your loved ones. You know, what do you want for them after you've spent all this time chasing? What do you want in the end to happen to what you would have worked hard for?
Yeah.
You know, so it's really just a matter of sitting and taking a moment to think about these things. And as I said in the beginning, COVID has taught us a lot. I mean, I have seen death certificates of young people pass across my desk, you know, and it just, you would think I would be accustomed to that, but it really was a shock to my system. And it's just really a wake-up call to how serious life
Yeah.
and death is.
But it
Right.
also
You know?
ties back into you saying something there, and I wonder if we realize how serious it is, what we take as important in our community.
Yeah, we really
know?
need to.
Because you know this. It are certain spaces and places we go, we can't have this conversation amongst we people.
Yeah.
Even people we consider we real close friends, even some of our family. We can't have this
But
conversation
why
with
is
them.
that? Why is that?
That is the programming that we have, and that's why I asked you, like, what do you think we could do to get it out now? For me, one of the real big things is us having these discussions, even if we can't go certain, they ain't gonna tell we don't talk that, you know. But it's always something as will come up while we're trying to talk about it, to throw it off, or gosh, you always talking all them kind of thing, and them.
Yeah.
Why we can't sit down and drink 2 beers and talk about this?
Yeah. Because they just want to avoid. This is a heavy.
It
Topic.
is a heavy topic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if we think about what will happen if we don't have the conversation, sometimes heavy is better than not. Yeah, you know.
And one of the things I just want to leave the community with tonight is that we are the generation coming out of the 50s, 60s, 70s parents, right? 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
And they would have done the best that they could have with what they had. And now we are standing on their shoulders. And it is important for us not to make the same mistakes, right? Where the same legacies is concerned, the insurance policies, the financial planning, estate planning. You know, these things are very important. And I mean, it would be, it's annoying to think, okay, my mother sacrificed and she would have if she buy 2 properties or 3 properties or whatever the case is, she had 2 children. And then she ain't do what she's supposed to do. And then the 2 children now had to start over as a result of that ill preparation. And now them 2 children, the children's children, her grandchildren now, should be standing on what would have been, right? And going forward from there, now they have to go back and come again. And that's why we keep starting over and starting over and starting over. And you see that simple saying, let them fight up. Or they don't know how destructive.
We in cancel culture, we could cancel that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
That's something we could cancel. And I don't know if it's in fairness to our community, but we really haven't had a culture of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Financial planning and estate planning. In some other cultures and spaces, it's almost a second nature thing.
That's right.
It's understood, it's part of the education. Growing up, it may not be formal, but they see what is supposed to happen, and it's almost automatic for them. It may not be in our community, but it's never too late to start. It is never too late to start.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was really a big deal for you guys to actually consider this as something that you want to discuss on your show, because it's not normal for persons our age to be in this kind of mindset, but it shows that, you know, we are thinking about the future and how we can do differently.
All right, so that's the full stop on it there, guys. Kalana, a million thank yous.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Right? We appreciate it from the bottom of our heart.
Oh, thank you.
Right, I mean, it's success for life.
Always.
All right, so, folks, we normally get bunks.
Yes.
Right?
We don't mind that.
Be safe all day. Live in love.
Yes.
It had nothing. They can't beat love. But we have to live it. We can't talk it. We have to live it all day. Be safe.
Yes.
And we go see you again. Goodness.